over 20 years at River Cottage, I've championed eating well and living in harmony with nature. Now, what we choose to eat and how we look after our wildlife and countryside seems more important than ever. So I'm reuniting with old friends.
Oh, that's amazing. Your good opinion matters the world to me.
And meeting new neighbours.
There is a sea spaghetti and there's a sea noodle.
To see how they're looking after our environment.
Is this a shoal of bream coming in?
Yes, bream, and there's a sea bass.
Oh yeah, the mussel farm is clearly a fish magnet.
And reaping the benefits of what nature has to offer.
That should do it.
And I'll be cooking up food that's seasonal,
Enjoying that? Yeah.
sustainable, and simply delicious.
So please join us at River Cottage.
Spring is well and truly sprung at River Cottage. The fields are bursting with new life, and the birds are busy building nests and rearing their young. To help our feathered friends raise a brood,
A little bit hot, Notty. Got a special treat for you to cool you down.
I like to find ways to lend a hand, or even a paw.
Get some of those hairs off you. Yes, good girl.
Our trusty lurcher, Notty, really doesn't need so much hair now. So I plan to borrow a bit.
At this time of year, around these parts, that is a very valuable commodity.
If she'd had her coat treated with pesticide for fleas or ticks, her hair wouldn't be safe for the birds. But right now, Notty is fully organic.
There are so many nesting birds around at River Cottage, which is lovely. And of course, they want to make their nests as comfy as possible for the chicks that they're hoping to hatch. Certain species really like certain things, and I've been asking anyone at River Cottage to collect some hair, and some have come up with some nice natural fibres. This is actually sheep's wool. Here's some more dog hair. I think there's a lot of good stuff here. I just need to make it available. And so I've got a rather ropey old fat ball feeder here. This is my hair port. Roll up, roll up. We've got dog hair, pony hair, lamb's wool. What do you fancy for your nest? Look at that. That looks pretty good, doesn't it?
For a bird literally looking to feather its nest, I'm rustling up another option.
These are some pigeon feathers. Here are some pheasant feathers, the breast feathers of a roadkill hen pheasant. I was the one who attended the scene and plucked the feathers. The idea is that by tying them up in a bundle, I can sort of just control them a bit. So, feather station, hair port. Let's go and find somewhere good to put them.
If you don't have any old bird feeders, you can just pop your natural feathers or fibres in a hedge. But I'm planning to locate my hair port where I can keep a close eye on it.
The guys are coming in to feed. There's a bunch of hair over here. Makes sense to me. The garden team have built this lovely pallet bench. So I just want to kind of lay that along the top of the bench so the feathers are kind of visible and available. I'm not the only person who makes feathers available to nesting birds. I think we're probably quite a small club, but we think we're doing a good thing. Let's see if anybody turns up.
The next morning, the first flight lands at the hairport, and some grateful great tits get to take away some lamb's wool to keep their little ones cosy. As the longer days and warmer sunshine set in, River Cottage and the surrounding countryside are looking luscious. It's the perfect time for a spring forage.
It's a beautiful morning, and I'm really looking forward to spending it with my old mucker, John Wright. He doesn't actually like me calling him my old mucker. He prefers my foraging guru. Whoa! Oh! Whoa!
John and I have had many adventures in pursuit of the finest wild foods.
That's absolute perfect condition, that one.
Ever since arriving at River Cottage over 20 years ago, I've loved learning from him.
But they can't actually be piercing the skin.
It does actually just go straight into the skin. It's so
Really?
very fine.
Yeah.
And making the most of nature's wild bounty.
I think that's the beginnings of a brew.
That's good.
We go back a long way, and I'm hoping we'll have a proper forage today and end up with something approaching lunch.
I think our paragliding days may be behind us.
How are you?
But I do have some cutting-edge transportation to offer John.
Look, I want to show you something. It's my new pride and joy.
Oh, it's an electric one. I haven't been on a bike since 1975, so...
I've got one for you.
Oh, no.
I've actually borrowed another one. It's just here. It's not quite as sparkly and new as mine.
Amazing.
So, otherwise, you're not going to be able to keep up. Health and safety, John.
I've got a hat, Hugh. I've got a hat.
Yeah, but not a safety hat.
I can't forage without my hat.
Is that too tight?
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's not strangling you?
It looks good, though, doesn't it?
It's a great look.
Does it look silly, Hugh?
Not at all.
No, I didn't think so.
Not at all, John.
Foraging has to be one of the most satisfying country pursuits. If you know where to look and what to look for, you can indeed have a free lunch.
You go first. Oh! Right. Steady, John. You all right there?
Yeah, I'm all right now.
You've got your boy racer on now.
Up and down the country, our hedgerows are harbouring a treasure trove of edible goodies.
We're getting off here, John.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Even an electric bike's knackering on a big hill.
Some plants are poisonous, so if you're not lucky enough to have an expert like John by your side, then take a good foraging book to identify what's safely edible.
Beautiful along here.
I think it's the old railway line.
We're parking up our bikes to explore this shady track, which I hope will offer up some edible wild greens.
Hogweed.
Hogweed.
If we can find a sort of furled up
There's one.
shoot, that's a nice little shoot, isn't it? That's a beaut, isn't it?
It's as good as they get, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, that's a good size. Incredibly hairy, of course, which the whole plant is. You get that parsley flavour with it. It's a sort of cut and come again. You come back a few days later and there'll be another one. It's
Great.
a super common plant.
Although this hogweed is growing in abundance, I'm sticking to the forager's code and only picking what we need for lunch today.
Here's a nice little one. Quite hard to spot edible plants when you're moving at speed. Left here, John.
Oh, look at that.
One of the pleasures of foraging is starting to think about what you might cook as you go. And I reckon I've got the rumblings of a good recipe coming together. But I'll need to find some greens with more punch and a root with some crunch.
Oh, something over there.
What have you got, John? Oh, yes. This is actually one of the first edible wild plants I learnt. It's got a couple of names, but the one I like is Jack by the Hedge.
It has this weird combination of two chemicals, two flavours that are intended to put off animals so they don't eat them. And of course, there are two flavours we'd really like. One is the sort of mustardy flavour, and the other is garlic or onion.
Wow.
Really good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite strong. As you say, it's got exactly those two things, garlic and mustard.
Yeah.
And a little bit of cabbaginess too.
It is actually a cabbage. You can tell that by looking at its 4 petals.
The Jack by the Hedge will give the dish I'm planning some excellent flavour, but I'm still after a bit of texture,
But I can't see any at the moment.
No.
which we might be able to find in the River Cottage pasture land.
Is that a little white
that's
flower?
one, that's one.
Oh, here they're here.
2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, they're here.
I think it's just the beginning of their season, isn't it?
These small white flowers are the above-ground signs of delicious pig nuts buried under the surface.
The rules of foraging are that we're not allowed to dig plants up unless we've got permission from the landowner, are we?
No, you can't.
But in this case, we're on the home patch.
I worked out there's 100,000 of these in this particular field.
Well, I think we can take a dozen or so for our lunch. Let's get digging. It's warming up, actually.
Pig nuts aren't really for foraging novices, as they can be confused with the poisonous hemlock.
And the thing to do is not to break the very fine thread that comes down from the stem. If you lose that thread, you can't find the nut.
God, it's deeper than I remember.
We have success. And he's still attached. That's quite a good one, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah, that is great. Brilliant, John. They're not always as big as that.
It's not a nut, but it does have a nutty flavour.
Yeah, it reminds me of water chestnuts.
Yeah.
Good job.
OK, where's yours then?
I've got a bit more digging to do.
Unearthing a modest stash of pig nuts has taken over an hour.
I think what you really need is a trained badger. dig them up for you and just drop them in your hand.
They naturally love them, don't they?
Yeah, if you can train a pig, surely you can train a badger.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I had a badger in the back of my car once. When
Stop
Seriously.
On our way to the kitchen, we're picking up 3 more greens which can all play a part. Wild garlic, water mint,
I'm taking no chances with the next ingredient.
and nettles.
It's just so delicious. They've got a really full green vegetable-y flavour, a little bit like spinach, but with a touch of nettle-y tang to it.
And that's our wild harvest safely gathered in.
I thought we would make wild pakoras with wild raita. So the only ingredients we need to use that we haven't foraged is a little bit of pea flour for the pakoras and some yoghurt for the raita, and all the flavourings and good stuff is coming from the wild things we picked this morning.
I'm just glad you're doing the cooking, not me.
John won't be putting his feet up. I'm putting him in charge of the raita, while I get going on the pakoras. I'm blanching the nettle leaves in some boiled water.
That's all that's needed to take the sting out of them.
Before quickly cooling them down.
Such a robust leaf, it doesn't collapse and shrink down quite as much as spinach. Still needs a good squeeze.
Our precious pig nuts have been scrubbed and peeled.
They're going to be the crunchy, nutty element of the pakora, and then the nettles will be the greens. I think they'll go together really well.
Once they're squeezed out, the nettles are finely chopped.
Normally I'd put curry powder in a pakora, but I'm not going to do that today because I want all the strong flavours to come from our foraged ingredients. I'm going to go double garlic, wild garlic and hedge garlic. I think flowers and all, don't you, John?
In a way, the flowers are the best bit because they've got a little crunchiness to them.
John's adding some natural yoghurt to his wild garlic and mint to make the raita. And I'm mixing my wild goodies into a pakora batter by adding just enough pea flour and water.
And I think we're ready to fry. Just trying to make sure there's a good distribution of the pig nuts in each pakora, but we've got a good sizzle on here, John.
But it's the thoroughly wild feel about the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's nice to be outside, not too far from where we gathered some of this. Last one in the pan. That looks brilliant, John.
Can I have a job here as a chef, you think?
Any time, John. Any time. Ready to flip, I think. Oh, look at that. Doesn't that look nice?
That's what we like to see. Lovely golden colour.
I'm steaming the hogweed shoots a little bit like asparagus spears in a pan with just a splash of boiling water.
It'll stop the hairs being hairy. And for a final flourish, John, I think some of these lovely petals.
Artistic sensibility coming off.
Here comes the hogweed. They look great, don't they?
They do look good. That works really well.
That's a good flavour, isn't it? Sort of somewhere between parsley and celery. I want you to have a pakora that's laden with pig nut, and I think you can see that might be a good one.
Oh, that's amazing. It's halfway between a nut and a very, very good potato.
It brings a sweetness to the pakora. Really gorgeous. Some really nice flavours in your raita. Beautifully put together, John.
This is a major success.
Oh,
Superb,
John,
yeah.
I'm so touched to hear you say that. We might give each other a little bit of ribbing from time to time, but your good opinion matters the world to me. So I'm so pleased you like them. This might be the first time anyone's ever made a nettle and pig nut pakora.
Once again, John's helped me source a sumptuous and surprising lunch from the natural bounty of the fields, lanes and hedgerows. Some of my neighbours in the West Country are carrying out fascinating and important conservation work. Today, I'm heading to an exciting rewilding project in my old stomping ground of West Dorset. 2 weeks ago, a pair of captive-bred beavers were released close to the original River Cottage. And before I check out how they're settling in, I can't resist a quick trip down memory lane.
I just spotted the cottage there through the trees. This looks like the original gate, which I walked through years ago. And I had no idea that when I did that, my life was changing forever.
I first walked through this gate 23 years ago to escape city life and learn how to live off the land sustainably, growing my own veg.
Come on.
And keeping my own livestock.
Come on, that's a good chap.
And this was the first place I ever kept pigs. Charlie and Tom. I should never have named them, really. It's made it really hard to do the inevitable at the end of their lives. I strung a hammock between, I think, probably those two trees. The idea that I could come back and do that and a beaver might swim right past me, that's exciting.
Upriver, lots has changed too. The new landowner, Dr. Tasha Finney, and her partner are rewilding this lovely corner of Dorset. And this shady patch of woodland with the River Brit running through is surely the perfect place for a pair of beavers to start their new lives together.
This is just a stunning glade.
Yeah.
What a beautiful location. So we're in the enclosure. In theory, we could see a beaver at any moment.
Any moment, but we can see evidence of them here with the dam and the new water level. So they've raised it at least 80 mil, I think, in the last 2 days, which means that they can do their thing, which is swim along the bottom of the stream underwater and access their burrows.
They've already rearranged the water levels, and they've been here, what, nearly 2 weeks?
13 days, yeah. Isn't that amazing? We're hoping that what the beavers are going to do is keep raising the water level and then start to spread it out onto this valley floor. And then we're creating that ecosystem that encourages biodiversity in terms of invertebrates, which then feeds our bats, feeds our birds, does all these things.
So standing water, muddy bits that dry out and get muddy and dry out, so lots of diverse habitats.
Exactly.
Beavers are brilliant builders, engineering complex dams to slow the flow of streams, create deep pools, and construct their lodges. To avoid predators, they often work under cover of darkness, and that can make monitoring tricky for the ecologist.
Can I introduce you to Professor Tom Brereton
Hi,
from
Tom.
the University of Beaver?
Is that a camera trap you're playing?
It is, yeah, it's a trail cam. Just put it up a couple of nights ago to try and monitor the beavers.
This mud is the beaver's work, is it?
Yeah, it's all happened very recently. This was just almost a metre less in height, the water, than it was just a couple of days ago, so the dam is already incredibly effective.
The camera trap has been clicking away, and we're all excited to see if it's captured any beaver building action.
When you see a daytime film, you're not that optimistic. So, like a wood pigeon there, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I suppose it's created a good drinking place for...
Is the beaver at work? Even the wood pigeon is there because of what it's done?
I think maybe a blackbird, I think, this one. Let's move on.
And then at last...
But there you go, there he is.
Oh, wow.
Or she.
What we've all been hoping to see.
Oh, yes.
See it there, and it's got a stick in its paws, and it's sort of doing some construction work on the dam. You can
Definitely
manipulating that.
But very exciting that things are already changing.
Absolutely,
The water course is altering.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
And on your footage, you're seeing exactly how that's happening, because they're getting to work on this dam right here.
Historically, humans have been the biggest threat to beavers. In the UK, we hunted them to extinction around 400 years ago for their pelts, their meat, and a gland whose secretions were used to make perfumes. Today, the beaver has a different value as a natural architect of a more biodiverse landscape.
The damming will, particularly in a flooding event when we get heavy rain, it should slow down by spreading out across the landscape. Because this is the issue with the Brit, it's flooding down into Bridport and flooding homes. So the punt that we're all taking is that if we get beavers in the tributaries and upstream, that's going to start to have an effect on the way that water's moving downstream. So these are the things we're trying to measure now to be able to say to everyone, OK, look, this is historically how it would have worked. The beavers are ecological engineers. They're working for us.
As a flood mitigation project by natural means, best way to do it. Bring in the experts.
Exactly. So, and you can see from this that they're able to do that in a way with a sensitivity and a surgical precision that we would never be able to do with a bulldozer.
Yeah.
You know, they can create habitat for other creatures, they can solve our flooding issues, they can do all of this work.
Centuries ago, this was a wetland habitat largely shaped by beavers. And the hope is that this pair can help return it to that state bringing the benefits of a richer biodiversity. But not everyone is on board with the Beaver Action Plan.
I think the argument that I've heard, which is a really valid one, is concern over a loss of farmland through flooding. I believe that the argument is there for the role that beavers play, given that all of these landscapes have evolved with beavers. I want to present the scientific data that says that beavers are massively beneficial, and we don't have that yet.
The number of beaver release sites across the UK is growing all the time, along with our hopes of rebuilding our lost beaver populations.
There's no guarantee that they're going to get on and mate.
No.
But at the same time, if they don't, there's not a lot of other choice around.
No.
But how exciting is it to have beavers in your back garden?
I love it. And I have to say, I'm over here a couple of times a day. Don't tell anyone.
Back at River Cottage, the kitchen is a hive of activity. We're expecting 30 guests for a seasonal lunch. And while the chefs whip up the starters and mains,
They look very nice.
I've been put in charge of making a dessert that sings of the season. And there's something in the garden just ripe for the picking.
This is rhubarb corner. And I love rhubarb. I can't get enough of it. It's the vegetable that sort of thinks it's a fruit. We've just come to rely on it so much in spring and early summer before any of the other fruit, the strawberries and the gooseberries and things, get going. And however hard we lean on it, it just keeps giving. In fact, you've got to keep picking it for it to be really productive.
This tangy rhubarb needs just a few accompaniments to turn it into a really special pud.
I'm very much a fan of the rhubarb classics, like rhubarb fool and rhubarb crumble. But I'm even more a fan of putting the two together to get a rhubarb fumble.
At the heart of the fumble is a rhubarb compote, which can be made on the hob, but is even better baked in the oven.
There are a number of flavourings that go brilliantly with rhubarb. Ginger is one, but one thing that's brilliant for cooking rhubarb is fresh orange juice, and you can put a little bit of the zest in too.
The aromatic zest and sweet juice complement the tart rhubarb perfectly.
You just need enough moisture to get the juices of the rhubarb running. It smells great already. Once it's baking, that lovely rhubarb tang is going to come out.
To tone down the tartness, I'm sweetening with a trickle of runny honey.
Into the oven it goes. Well, that's the rhubarb well on the way. Let's get ready to crumble.
My Moorish crumble topping is a mix of wholemeal flour and porridge oats for a bit of extra crunch.
Just give them a mix with my fingers. And then the cold cubes of butter go in.
Rub all that in until it looks like breadcrumbs, and then add ground almonds for a richer flavour.
Shake that through. As you can see, there's still some quite big buttery lumps, but I don't need to work it any more than that because I like a clumpy crumble.
Finally, some light muscovado sugar and a few tasty extras.
You can add flaked almonds or chopped nuts, and I really like to add some seeds. Sunflower and flax seeds going in here, and some poppy seeds, which make a brilliant speckled effect right through the crumble. And that is the finished mix. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? Great texture.
My rhubarb has had about 15 minutes in a medium oven.
Well, that's tender. Definitely done now. Beautiful.
While my rhubarb cools, the crumble goes in the oven.
We're going to need to keep an eye on it because it burns quite easily.
And I'm on to the third fumble element, a silky custard. I'm using 2/3 whole milk to 1/3 double cream,
Beautiful.
which I'm heating to just below boiling point with some split vanilla pods.
Even before I cut the pod, I can smell this is gorgeous vanilla.
To fresh egg yolks, I'm adding muscovado sugar.
Now, I can't add this egg yolk to the almost boiling milk and cream, or it's going to cook very quickly and scramble. But what I can do is whisk a little bit of this liquid slowly into the egg yolks, and then put it all back in this pan and stir it through so it doesn't all happen too suddenly.
The warm, sweet, yolky milk goes back into the mix, which is stirred over a low heat.
Look at all those beautiful seeds. That is thickening up really nicely, and it'll thicken more as it cools. So I'm not going to chance it anymore. Look at that, gorgeous colour, gorgeous silky texture. Perfect custard.
And the crumble is now done.
It's looking golden.
And here are the 4 elements my rhubarb fumble.
The baked rhubarb compote, creamy vanilla custard, natural whole yoghurt, and finally, here's the crumble.
And it's time to dish up my dreamy rhubarb dessert.
Hi everyone, how's everybody doing? Roll up everyone, don't be shy. It's not a talk, it's not a lecture, it's just pudding. Who's going to be just brave enough to come step up and have the first fumble?
You looking at me?
Yes, I am. Shall I help you get the rhubarb in and we can go from there? There you go. In with the rhubarb. Custard, I'm going to hand over to you now. Ooh, I can see you're keen on the custard. There's no such thing as too much.
The joy of the fumble is layering up the different elements with the crunchy crumble on top, then fumbling it in a glass so that no 2 spoonfuls are quite the same.
There we go. Would you like some? You can have a little taster.
Nom, 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 nom.
Thank you, Maya. Thanks for the verdict. How's that going down, guys?
Lovely, thank you.
I reckon my fix-your-own creamy, crunchy, zesty fumble is getting a pretty good reaction from all of our guests.
How's it going down here? Oh.
Well, almost all of them. Chickens were the first animals I kept for food, and they're one of the most rewarding to rear. A contented chicken can lay a fresh egg around 250 days a year. But along with all the poultry in the UK, my hens were cooped up all winter because of bird flu. So it's great to see them outside again with the sun on their backs.
Oh, you have been busy, girls. And a couple more. Nice.
If I only kept one animal for food, it would be chickens for their eggs. Just look at those beautiful eggs. And when you get an egg with a yolk that's almost orange, that's not because the chickens have been feeding on corn. It's because they've been eating grass or other vegetation. Honestly, I don't say this often enough, but thank you so much. I really am grateful. Enjoy your day.
A freshly laid egg is just what I need to top off a favourite breakfast of mine that's become a seasonal ritual. Beans on toast.
Of course, I'm not actually going to be opening a tin of beans because I've got lovely green pods of my favourite bean of all, and they're ready to pick. But look at this. For me, that is just one of the most beautiful sights in the garden at this time of year. A broad bean pod just begging to be popped open and reveal its beans in their cosy little furry sleeping bags. Well, not so cosy now, guys. You're just minutes away from being on my toast. And here are some more broad beans, but the outdoor crop is still a few weeks away. Lots of lovely flowers, which the bees are enjoying. Pollinating those beans for us? Thanks very much. And those flowers will all become beans. And in order to encourage that to happen, it's traditional at about this time to pinch off the top crown of leaves to stop any more vertical growth, so the plant puts its energy into making beans. And I get a little beanie bonus for the kitchen because these top shoots from the broad beans are actually delicious.
I've got the eggs and the beans, and one more thing has caught my attention.
I can't resist just one of these baby onions. Perfect. That's going to add a lovely bit of sweetness to the beans. Did I mention sausage? Always nice with beans on toast. And actually, I'm going to put all the seasonings of a really good chorizo into this fresh minced pork and make little chorizo meatballs that will be delicious with my beans. And to 500 grams of minced pork shoulder, I'm adding 10 grams of salt,
a tablespoon each of both smoked and sweet paprika, and a couple of cloves of chopped garlic.
Here's the hot stuff. This is just 1 level teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And now a lovely touch, fennel seeds. The licorice flavour of fennel goes brilliantly in chorizo.
A few generous twists of black pepper.
And to help bring it together, a little slosh of red wine. And now I'm going to give that a really good mix. It's so important to get all the spices and the salt very well distributed through the pork.
I'll pop that to one side for the flavours to infuse, and it's on to the broad beans.
Time to pod. And these are absolutely perfect. Big babies. When broad beans are really tiny, you can actually eat the whole pod. But these guys have passed that moment, so these pods are not going to be part of my dish. But I have some friends nearby who I reckon might enjoy them. Pigglywigs! Piggles! Got some lovely greens for you. Come on, that's good for you.
A scant minute in boiling water tenderises the beans and brings out their sweetness.
And when they're this freshly picked, that's really all they need.
Next, I'm forming the chorizo into little patties and frying them in a dash of rapeseed oil.
Look how the spices are running out of the chorizo and into the oil, and all that flavour's going to end up in the beans.
Then in with the chopped spring onion.
The smell of that is delicious. This is all going to come together very fast now. Time to think about that toast. Now I'm going to break up my chorizo patties into smaller crumbs. They can get around the beans and the other ingredients a little bit more. I'm going to pop the bean tops in.
Give them a stir for a minute or so. Then it's in with the beans.
You can see now that this is a bean dish and the chorizo is really just a little bit of spice. You see how well distributed those chorizo crumbs are. Putting some colour on the toast. That's looking lovely. Just a trickle of extra virgin rapeseed oil. That'll do instead of butter today. This is going to be my full English spring breakfast. The full Springlish. And one thing that I know is going to be delicious alongside the beans and sausage is a fried egg. Laid this very morning. Oh, look at that. That looks too good. Time to serve up. Here comes a runny egg. It's a little indulgence. Am I feeling a bit guilty having this on my own? No, not really. I mean, there are moments of the season where you just want to celebrate in solitary bliss. And this is one of those times. Oh, look at that. That is great. That is the best beans on toast I've ever had. If only I could get all this into a tin, I'd never have to work again.
As the days lengthen and the weather warms up,
Morning.
the early routine at River Cottage is quite different from the colder months.
When I come up here to see the cows, they're still looking at me like they're expecting me to bring them their breakfast. But you don't need any hay from me. You've got all this gorgeous grass. Don't look so grumpy.
With more and more sunshine, the grass is now rich enough in nutrients to sustain my Devon Ruby cattle, and they'll spend the best part of 8 hours a day gently grazing.
The last couple of weeks, the grass has just shot up, and from now until pretty much the end of the year, this will be enough for them.
Grass is the most natural food for cattle and the most ecologically sound. Raising beef on grain means growing expensive crops using fossil fuel-based fertilizers. But our little organic herd produce their own, which naturally replenishes the nutrients in the pasture they're munching. The cattle aren't the only ones getting used to the concept that everything they need to eat,
Come on then.
is now growing all around them.
Come on, goats. I'm leading you to pastures new. Come on.
The triplet kids are almost 3 months old now, and over the next few weeks, they'll come to rely on the new growth of grasses, flowers and hedge.
Oh my goodness. Basil, Polly and Manuel are still getting some milk from Mia, but they're also increasingly independent, and I'm hoping she might wean them quite soon. And then I can start taking a little bit of milk from her, maybe make some cheese.
Basil is already developing a taste for flowers.
He's just picking them off one by one. Like that clover, don't you, Manuel?
And Polly is bravely exploring the hedgerows. The warmer weather isn't all good news, though. Today's shaping up to be a scorcher. And while the gardeners are ensuring the plants survive the mini heatwave, I'm looking after this bunch.
It's warm today, isn't it? In fact, I think this is the hottest day of the year so far. And as the days get longer and hotter, that can be a bit of an issue for pigs. They can get sunburnt, particularly behind the ears. But they're intelligent animals, and they know what to do about it, and they know that a nice bit of liquid mud, that's sunscreen for them. They've already made a mud wallow here, a little one, by splashing out the water from their trough. But it's not big enough for more than 1 or 2 of them to get their noses in at a time. So today I'm going to make them a dedicated mud wallow, a really decent sized one.
It's approaching 30 degrees Celsius, and the pigs are wisely taking it easy. Maintenance man Mike and I should probably be doing the same. But instead, we're thrashing about with some heavy metal.
No, I'm not ready for you yet. Mike, do you see that there's almost like a circle here where the ground's broken up?
An Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Well, maybe not quite that wide or deep, but you know.
Mud will always mud.
Well, it will be, I hope.
Pigs love turning over the ground with their snouts, but this stuff is baked so hard they need a little help. Once we've broken up the soil and given it a good soak, they should finish the job.
What do you think? Time to release the water?
I think so.
Here we go. But look, they're already getting involved. Come on, girls. Time to do your bit. Now you're talking.
If they don't go in there, I'm going to join them, I think, because it is getting very hot now.
It shouldn't take long for the pigs to mix up the mud and make a cooling wallow to protect their sensitive skin.
Hi, guys. I hear you're a bit hot.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
Awesome.
Surprise, surprise.
Homemade lollies.
So first of the year strawberries with some strawberry kombucha in there as well.
Oh, wow.
Incredible, thank you.
How amazing.
That is absolutely gorgeous on a day like this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
That is a thirst quencher. That's delicious.
I have made some lollies for the pigs.
Have you really?
Yeah, leftover veg lollies. I didn't think they'd appreciate the strawberry ones too much.
Pig lollies is a first at River Cottage.
Piggy lollies.
They look great. Let's see who likes a lolly. Do you like that?
What could be better on a scorching day like this than an icy treat to keep you cool on the inside and a natural soothing sunscreen to protect you on the outside? That goes for pigs and people.
That's going to be a bit cold. Ice cream headache.
I love this time of year when bountiful crops really start to fill the veg beds. To celebrate, we're making the most of what the garden has to offer with a spring into summer dinner party. My old mate Gil has come along to help out the home team of Gelf and Val in rustling up a veg-led alfresco feast.
We've got 12 people coming for dinner, all River Cottage team and friends. It's lucky that the garden's bursting out all over. Gil, what are you thinking?
I think I've got the fire going.
So you're going to cook over fire?
Yeah. I'll cook some veg, just with some herbs and a simple dressing. I'm thinking lettuce. I saw some really nice lettuce in the polytunnel.
OK.
And then I'll probably go with the onions. They'll be lovely on the grill. A bit of beetroot, possibly.
These lovely golf ball-sized beetroot.
They will cook beautifully on the fire.
What about this young fennel?
Well, that would be great, but I think Gelf's, he's nabbed that.
Well, so if Gil's going barbecue, what are you doing?
I'm not going to cook anything. I'm going to go raw.
Right.
Everything is literally just being picked as well. So it's going to be sweet, it's going to be tender.
What are you thinking of?
I'm thinking I'm gonna go for smoked cream and some leaves.
The best of the leafy greens, finished with a little bit of your magic smoked cream.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I'm definitely using is the eggs I picked this morning. And I think they're so delicious, they're not going to need a lot of fussing over. But the best veg deserves as much attention as the finest meat. So we're firing up the barbecue.
These beautiful little beetroots, I'm going to pop them straight onto the grill. I won't put any salt and pepper on them yet, no oil, nothing like that. And at the end, when they come off, that's when we'll dress them. But they'll be ever so sweet when they come off the fire, because obviously the heat will just accentuate the sugariness. I love cooking on the fire, so it's quite cool.
Gelf is preparing 2 dishes. The first is a tangy quick pickle.
I'm just stripping the turnip stalks out, so I'm going to pickle these with the fennel stalks as well, so we're using the whole veg. And then the tender roots we're going to serve raw, and I'm going to make a little aioli, which Hugh's going to sling me some eggs for, hopefully.
To go alongside Gelf's salads, Val will sauté her chard and beetroot leaves to pair up with her creamy smoky sauce.
I need to infuse some cream with lovely herbs, rosemary and thyme. And I also pull a garlic, which is young garlic.
Gil has been lovingly tending his fire and the smoky smell is irresistible. I'm after a sneak preview of his barbecued baby beetroot.
Sweet, sugary flesh inside. Yeah. Hot, hot.
It's amazing. That is absolutely delicious. And it is really tender.
Yeah.
Got beautiful smoky flavour.
But it's that balance of bitter charring and sweet flesh that makes
gorgeous.
it a real standout veg on the barbecue.
One perk of prepping food in the veg patch is being able to pick up some cheeky extra flavours.
Just doing the gardener's weeding now. Just getting some wood sorrel, some creeping wood sorrel. Absolutely delicious, especially as I'm doing everything raw. This will give it a real lemony punch when we come to eat it. Save us using too many lemons.
Next on Gil's grill is a veg you may not expect to see cooked over fire, the densely hearted gem lettuce.
You can roast it or grill it, sauté it, but it's really nice on the barbecue. Straight on, and it caramelizes on the outside and becomes lovely, soft and wilted in the middle, and it will just be the third part of this little salad.
Gelf's making a rich garlic aioli to go alongside his raw veg, while Val's herb-infused cream goes over smouldering oak chips to take up the smoky flavour.
It's gonna take around 5 minutes.
And I'm preparing a simple salad, courtesy of our happy hens.
I really like the harshness of a completely raw spring onion against the rich creaminess of just boiled eggs. And I've got some lovage leaves here. The lovage goes on. It's got a wonderful savoury flavour with a hint of curry. It's going to go brilliantly with the spring onions and a nice creamy egg. I'm just going to make a really simple mustardy vinaigrette. Rapeseed oil, little English mustard. You spare a bit of vinegar from your pickles for my dressing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Gelf's crunchy stalks have been lightly pickled with tangy cider vinegar. And Val's special creamy sauce has taken on the oaky smoke.
Val, that looks incredible.
Thank you, Hugh.
Beautiful. Smells amazing.
And we're pretty much ready to dish it all up.
Just picking up that yolk colour with the marigold petals, and then the whites with the brassica flowers.
I've laid all the vegetables out in this veg crate, which seems fitting, but it does look so pretty. Maybe when the guys see it, they'll be like, no, you have to serve it in the veg crate. It's really beautiful. Rustic cooking, but there's a sort of refined element to it, where you're just really thinking about the textures and flavours and how it all balances together.
And here it comes.
Wow, Gil, that just looks unbelievable.
Looks pretty
Not
special.
sure there's room for that on the table, but we'll make it work.
Shall we squeeze it on?
A veg patch feast that truly celebrates the season.
There's room for one of yours down here, girl.
That looks...
Emma, come and sit here. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Rachel. You all right?
Hi, I'm good.
There's beer or kombucha or wine.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Go for it, everybody. How brilliant. You're not vegan, are you? No, I saw you eat a limpet.
I don't think we could have put together a more delicious thank you to all our friends, old and new.
Try some of Val's smoky, creamy greens. Oh, Val, that's so good. That smoked cream is outrageous. You could pour that over almost anything. Someone pass me another one of those charred beetroot and maybe an onion as well.
Phenomenal.
That's gorgeous. Gil, you're on fire.
I can't talk. Putting so much food in my mouth.
Thank you. Really delicious. Well, I think we should all say a massive thank you to the garden and to everyone who's helped make it so abundant, which in one way or another is all of you. But thank you, guys, for this wonderful, wonderful food. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Cheers.